Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. On today's episode, I'm going to show you how to turn this into this. Stay tuned. Alright you guys, so this is the Milwaukee M18 Fuel Brushless String Trimmer. This is the first generation model here. The second generation model, aka the Quick Lock model, is going to be exactly the same. There's no real design or technical differences in the head and the gearbox here. So first and second generation, it's going to work pretty much the same. So today we're going to be switching out this head to a brush cutting head. Before we get into that, let's talk a little bit why this model or these models with the motor at the back is going to be a little bit better for brush cutting than the ones with the motor in the front. So with the motor in the back, like this one and the second generation one, the motor's in the back, which means it spins this long metal shaft down here, turns into the gearbox, and then it spins the head. With that, when it's spinning or when it's on, the mass in motion, or aka the kinetic energy, it's going to be in the shaft spinning and the gears in this here, right? So when it encounters an object or a branch, some brush, small bushes or whatnot, it's better. It has a better ability to keep the head speed up and really just power right through it or cut right through it, assuming it's small enough, because there's so much more mass in motion. Models that have the head motor at the head don't have that kinetic energy in motion, because some of them may be directorized, some of them may be offset with gear ratios or whatnot. So it's a little bit harder for those to keep that mass in motion, with everything being the same. Now granted, there's going to be models out there that are going to be like 60 volts, which are going to be way different than this 18 volt one. But everything being the same, just make sure you keep that in mind. But generally, the models with the motor at the back have a easier ability to keep the head speed up when you're cutting through stuff. Anyways, without further ado, let's get into how we're going to do this. So today we're going to change out this head to this brush cutting head. Pretty much this is a cheaped out, lightened up circular saw blade, pretty much what it comes down to. This right here is an 80 tooth model. I think the manufacturer, the brand, I think it's like Blue Cat Ellie or something, I'm not sure, but I'll throw it in a link in the description below. But this is an 80 tooth model. I think they have like 60, 40, 24 or something like that. But if you're trimming stuff down and you want that tree to survive well or whatnot, you want to use a high teeth count model in order to get the cut smooth. It reduces the chances of the tree getting an infection or fungus or stuff like that. If you're literally just clearing brush in a ditch or in your backyard, backfield or whatnot, and you just want to clear it out, you probably want to go with a lesser tooth model, because you'll probably get faster cuts, but it's going to be a little bit rougher. There's other stuff out there like chainsaw blade ones and stuff like that, but this is a carbide tipped one. So if you're going to do anything, I would get at least a carbide tipped one, because obviously you guys know carbide teeth is going to do pretty well. But this is a 10-inch model, and with a 10-inch model, you have to remove the blade guard here. Mainly because it just sits way too tight here. Technically, if you want to, you could get like a, I don't know, bandsaw or something and really just cut this part out. But when it sits here, it really rubs up against here, so you have to remove the blade guard. Like I said, you can get oscillating tool or something and just shave it off, but I'm not really going to do that, because if you're really cutting through brushes, this is just going to get in the way. So make sure you're spinning this the right way on this, and we'll get to that when we get to it. Anyways, so in order to do this job, we need a few things. You need your brush cutting blade. You need a smooth metal shaft, small smooth metal shaft that's going to fit right here, and we'll get into that in a bit. But pretty much that's all you really need. And actually, you need a Torx T30 screwdriver or an impact driver bit or whatnot. Anything, something to remove 4 T30 screws. So here we go. This is what we're going to be doing. So I have it spin this way. I have it shown this way, or locked in a job vise this way, but we're going to need to actually turn it, or I'm going to turn it. The reason we have, I have it this way, but we're going to turn it over, is I wanted to show you this keyhole right here. If you're here, it's going to be on the left side of the trimmer, okay? But you want to take your spindle, your small smooth shaft, and put it in the hole and spin it until it locks. Okay, see, it's locked. Now it doesn't spin. So we want to remove this head by grabbing the body of the head and turning it this way. All right, so if I'm standing here and this is my 12 o'clock, we're turning this to the right. What does that mean? It means we're turning it clockwise, okay? So don't grab this, grab this body part, all right? So if you put a little bit of force on it, or the spindle lock will hold, and you can use both hands to remove it, which is what I would recommend unless you just have really big, strong hands or whatnot. But grab both and then turn it, all right? So that came off really easy for me, mainly because I already took this off multiple times and I already loosened it up earlier just to make the video. But if you're removing this for the first time, it will not come off that easy. You're going to probably need to use both hands and a lot more force to remove it. So just take it, spin it, keep spinning it clockwise. It'll come off. All right, there's the head. All right, we're gonna reuse this head because we're gonna cheat around this thing. But anyways, hold the head. I'm going to go ahead and spin and turn this right side up or upside down. Make it easier to work. Make it see. All right, so this is the bottom. On the bottom of this, there's 4 Torx T30 screws in there. I should probably put a disclaimer in here. You shouldn't remove this. If you do anything, don't hurt yourself. That's your fault because I told you not to do it. But this is one of those things where you do as I say and not as I do. Like I said, you can keep it on there. You can just shave some of this off and take a bandsaw or something and cut it off, but I'm not going to do that. We're going to remove 4 of these Torx T30 screws that hold the blade guard in place. I will say this Milwaukee M18 Fuel surge impact driver has definitely become my favorite ever since I got it. It's quiet, has enough power. Well, I mean, it's not designed to drag like super big lag bolts or anything, but has good power, quiet. All right, very nice. So this is pretty much what's really driving here. If you have anything here, just clear it off. I already cleaned it out, put some more grease there. But this is actually really nice. The way they made this, see how it's keyed in right there? It'll hold it. But the reason it's really nice is because this diameter right here is just about 1 inch, or I can't remember what the millimeters equivalent is, but because of this offset, how it's raised a little bit right here, you can really use pretty much almost any 1 inch arbor brush cutting blade on it. So I do appreciate that they did that. So on this one, this is the blade, like I said, we're going to use. So if I'm here and this is my 12 o'clock, on this string trimmer, this actually turns clockwise relative to my position. Turns clockwise, okay? You need to make sure you have that in mind when you do this, because some of the blades are directional. In this case, this blade is directional. It only cuts going this way. Okay, I mean, technically it could cut that way, but you're just gonna ruin the teeth. So make sure you keep that in mind. It turns this way, all right? So make sure your blade is oriented properly. See, it fits on there perfectly. I'm not sure if you can see that, but see, fits on there perfectly. I'll have to throw in a picture later on how perfectly that really fits. It comes with a reducing washer, but we don't need that. So what you really should do, in this case, you really need to go and get a blade adapter to hold this really in place. But as you guys know, this is a value-oriented channel, and I don't plan to keep this here permanently just to do a small job. So we're going to do a little bit of a cheat, and we're going to reuse the head to hold this in place. What you really want to do, like I said, is you want to get that blade adapter. I think some of the steel ones I've heard work on this one, but don't quote me on that. But you really don't need to buy something like that. It's like 20-something bucks, right? What you could do is you could go to the depot and find the nut that fits something like this, but be careful when you do that, because when you put the nut on here, you're going to be putting the pressure, because this is raised, you're going to be putting the pressure on this raised, I don't know, shaft, washer, whatnot, and not on the blade. So even if you put a washer there, most of the forces are going to be on there and not on the outside part of the blade holding it in place. So that is obviously not good, which is another reason why we're going to cheat and just reuse this to do that. I'm sure most of the welders and people can find out a hack. But, I mean, if you're doing this permanently, you don't need this anyways. The good thing about this, what I realized when I was using it, is you can literally just put, if you want to cut something really flush, you can really just put this on the ground and just cut here, and it'll leave about 2 inches of a stump. If you don't want that, then don't do this, obviously, but this is what we're going to do. All right, so make sure it's cleanly on there. You want to make sure it's clean and perfectly centered. Then we're going to take the head and we're going to put it back on, mainly because if you look at the head, it's inset. The nut is actually inset within the head. So the tighter you put this on, the outside of this head is going to be pushing force against the blade, keeping the blade in place. And because there is this outset washer type thing here, it'll hold it in there really tight, and actually it works really well. I've already used this before. So put it on. You don't need the spindle lock just yet because it will spin, or it will, the gear will kind of hold it there. But when you get to the point you want to take your spindle lock device, put it in there, when it locks, you want to hold it, and then you want to put the same amount of force you did to take this off. In my case, I'm going to put a lot more because I loosened it and cheated earlier. You want to take it, and then once it starts feeling tight, you want to do maybe about 1/4 of a turn, okay? Once it gets real tight where you have to use both hands. All right. So now that's on there. I mean, if the string bothers you, you can really just cut it off. If you really don't like this on there, go get the blade adapter and get it on there. But I'm not really going to do that. So this is how it goes. I'll see if I can get some clips of showing it to you, but we already used it and did the job, so maybe I'll find something to cut. Anyways, but that's how you do it. Here, I'll turn it around. Actually, I guess I'll put this at the beginning of the video. Make sure you take the battery out first before you mess with any of this. All right, now the battery's out. I'm gonna go get a battery. The 12 volt is really far away, so I'm gonna put this compact battery in there, and then I'll show it to you in action or working. This is on turtle mode. I'm going to turn it to rabbit mode. All right, remove the battery before you mess with any of it. So like I said, guys, this is a very dangerous tool, especially without the blade guard in place. I don't recommend you remove the blade guard. They have an 8-inch model, which will work with the blade guard on, but you get a little bit reduced cutting capacity, so I didn't really go for that one. But if you want the 8-inch model, and if you get the 8-inch model, you can most likely keep the blade guard on. So if you want to keep the blade guard on, I would go with that. This right here is a place where you can put some grease. I do recommend you do that every now and then. High temperature lithium type grease. You can get it at your home center or order it online. Personally, I use the Steel brand. And even, actually, I've used the Echo brand too. But anyways, this works really well. Carbide teeth actually help a lot. Even when you're cutting or clearing tall grass or weeds or whatnot, it actually works really well. So I can definitely recommend this one, the one I've used. I'm sure there's a bunch of other stuff out there. But hope this video has helped you guys out. And then we'll make sure you're like I said, extremely safe when you're using this thing. It's extremely dangerous. The kickback potential is actually very, very high. So you have been warned. Like I said, hope this video helped you guys out, and I'll see you guys next time.